Everybody told me, don't do it. You have a child. We're doing it because we have a child.
Single parenting different from that unit of parenting?
As a working mom, you're also juggling home, work, personal commitments, yourself. As a single parent, I'm doing the same thing. But I think at times they're just a little more heightened, maybe because you're doing it alone.
So when was that inflection point that you said, it's okay?
It had very little to do with how we were feeling in that marriage. It had everything to do about how this was going to shape our child. Everybody told me, don't do it. You have a child. We're doing it because we have a child. I'm also a single parent product. Tell everybody watching this that children who come from divorced homes do not come from broken homes. They come from fixed homes.
What was all the ammunition that you needed when you took this step?
I think the first thing is to really, there's no garb. I just cry, man.
So I think tears are therapy in motion and we don't even realize. They're like emotions in motion. And while you have this incredible, brave exterior, what broke Swati as a mom?
The biggest question that breaks me every day or makes me doubt what I'm doing a lot of times is,
It's okay.
yeah, thanks. They're not easy to really think back, and this is the one statement breaks me even today when I think about it.
In today's conversation, we're going to chat with somebody who I accidentally met but deeply admire for her courage to stand up for what she felt, to address the emotions, to acknowledge this isn't working out, to take the reins in her hand and say, I will pave my way forward and I can do it. And she's somebody that we've stayed in touch for a very long time until I thought I was ready to have this episode and this long chat with her. Please welcome the entertainment editor of Quint, Swati Chopra.
Thank you so much.
Swati, thank you for being here. She's a dear friend and also a single parent.
Thank you so much for having me, Mansi.
And I'm so glad. The first thing that she came up and she said this morning was, I'm so glad there is space for this conversation. And I'm so glad you're having it.
Yeah.
Why did you say that?
I said that because I don't see enough spaces that are holding space for single parents. There's so much about parenting, but they're more about a unit, right? There's not enough space for single parents.
How is single parenting different from that unit of parenting?
Oh my God, do you have 8 hours? Do you have like 24 hours? It's a long conversation. I think it's very, very different. Some of the challenges that a unit faces and a single parent faces are very similar. For example, you're a working mom, and when you go out, you have a working mom's guilt, right? As a working mom, you're also juggling home, work, personal commitments, yourself. As a single parent, I'm doing the same thing. But I think at times they're just a little more heightened, maybe because you're doing it alone.
Yeah.
But I think the struggles are, the challenges, the highs. There's so many highs as a parent that we face, single or not. They're similar.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to start off this conversation with, when did you know that it was time for me to move on? Because I know so many people who are listening to this conversation. So many women out there, so many men who are sometimes in it for the kids, right? And they feel like, no, I cannot have an exit because I don't want my child to have an either or situation. Yeah. So when was that inflection point that you said, it's okay, I'm going to still go ahead and do this? Yeah. And how would you address it with the other parents?
Oh, okay. So, I'm so glad firstly you asked this question, because even now I have a lot of friends who are in marriages where they're not the happiest, right? And the question I get is, what made you leave? When I decided, or rather when my ex-partner and I decided that, this is not working out for us. And we knew that the most important thing in our life was our child. It had very little to do with how we were feeling in that marriage. It had everything to do about how this was going to shape our child.
Right.
I think that is something a lot of people find very difficult to get out, because even when I took this decision and I said, or as partners, ex-partners, we took this decision and said, okay, we're going to part ways, but we're going to make sure that the focus is this child, right? Everybody told me, don't do it. You have a child. Don't do it. And I said, we're doing it because we have a child.
I love that.
And yeah, we have to we have to be a role model for the child who grows up and sees a relationship as a loving, healthy space.
Versus what was he seeing?
he wasn't seeing anything. Trust me, we were, I think, very, very aware of how we were in front of our child. We weren't bickering. There were no fights. I think sometimes as couples or as people, you outgrow, or you tend to grow like, you get together, you get married, you're this person, and as you're growing somewhere around the line, maybe you change. And when you change, maybe you're not the same people, but that doesn't mean either is bad.
Right.
So ours was just that. I don't think there was any bickering in front of our child. There were no fights in front of our child. I said, my child was, I think, 3 when we separated, but he had no idea. And I knew that he would never have an idea. But I did also know that being in a relationship, that my ex-partner or I weren't really getting what we wanted, we will not be able to set an example of what a healthy marriage, a relationship really looks like. And I wanted him to have that.
Right.
So, and again, if you know it as well, right? If we aren't happy,
Yeah.
the kid is not going to be happy.
Absolutely. But do you feel like it's better for two people who've outgrown each other, or, who are just having lots and lots of arguments behind closed doors? The minute it steps out of those closed doors and into the living room where the child is witnessing all of it, it's time to step away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm also a single parent product. Okay. So when we decided to part ways, and like I told you, everyone said, don't do it. You have a child. And I mean, this is a line that a lot of people told me, which really, till now when I think of it, I want to just tell everybody watching this that children who come from divorced homes do not come from broken homes. They come from fixed homes. I get the fact that they're living with a parent as a primary caregiver, but they're not coming from broken homes. It's two people who's actually fixing it. So the minute you do realize that the bickering behind the closed doors, or even if it's not bickering, but it's, a child is very, very receptive, right?
Yeah.
A change in a tone, it could be very slight. A change in just the way a partner or a couple sits.
Yeah.
They see it. They
Yeah.
know something's off, right? I think it's time to move on.
Right. It's very interesting that you said that, which is about how you check in and,
Yeah.
you text him that, okay, this is the update and all of that. How do partners develop a very amicable relationship with their new partners, that this is okay? Like my wife or my ex-wife texting me at 3 a.m. is not for anything else but something that's important. How? Because I'm sure that pans out. I'm sorry if I'm crossing any boundaries.
No.
But I'm sure that it's not hunky-dory in all cases. How do you bridge that?
I think that really comes from the kind of people the ex-partners are dating.
Yeah.
I think it's got so much more to do with the kind of people you're dating. Everybody will not be able to get with it. And I get that as well. Sometimes I put myself in somebody else's shoes. I'm thinking, hey, listen, if I was in that person's place, there's no way I would have taken it. I'd be like, there's something off. Then it also comes from the kind of security you offer your new partner.
Yeah.
The kind of person you are, he or she is, the kind of security you're offering to your new partner. Then the third thing for me, which is the most important thing, is that I have decided that, and it's something that I do, that my son is the most important thing in my life. Everything else is secondary. So I'm going to do my best to ensure that you are comfortable with my setup, which cannot be changed. This is my setup because it's for my child. It's not for me personally, right? It's for my child. If you can understand it, it'll be great. But if you can't, I get that too, and you're free to step away from it. But I am not going to do anything that will hamper my child. So if my child needs his father, for example, to come home on a weekend to my house and spend the entire day, I'm going to let it be. And I promise that I'm going to ensure that you're comfortable. I'm going to make sure that I give you enough security in this relationship that you don't have doubts. But again, like I said, it's both the partners.
Yeah.
It can't work if just one gets it. And it's a very difficult thing to understand, Mansi.
Yeah, I'm I'm sure.
Yeah, because my ex-partner does come to my house. We have it's like I said, we reached a space that's very comfortable. We coexist happily. It's very comfortable now. Earlier it wasn't. It's very comfortable now. So we're very, very mindful that the child comes first. So I do know that the new partner has to know that your child is primary. Everything works around the child, but not ignoring the relationship. So,
Right.
one is that you instill enough faith in your new partner about security. I think as open as you can be with your new partner about the conversations you're having with your ex-partner, about if you have to go for, say, a dinner or a lunch with your ex-partner and your son, which we do, and nobody will get it. We do it. But the partner be like, hey, the new partner can be like, what's going on, dude? You feel
Yeah.
like a family unit. And
Yeah.
that can be so worrying, right? As
Yeah.
I'm listening to you, saying it, I would be really worried.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My priority
Do
is my
you,
son.
if, does it happen in relationships where if you're dating someone, do you think you need to seek approval of your ex-partner to see if this, and especially if the person is going to come and stay with you and your child, and the child is going to see that person day in, day out,
Yeah.
do you think it's okay for couples to seek approval from their ex-partners or the father of the child?
I don't know if the question is about seeking approval, but I definitely do think if the new partner is going to be involved in a child's life, the ex-partner needs to be made aware of, and give your ex-partner enough information about the person so they are secured that
Right.
my child is not hanging out with somebody who he or she shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And I think when you give that kind of security even to your ex-partner, it can be very okay. It can be okay.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. That's amazing. It actually takes me back to Four More Shots, where
Yeah.
that Kirti Kulari's
Yeah.
ex-partner and she, and I thought it was great that they had that sort of equation.
Yeah.
But it all seems like you were extremely sorted, composed. But what was it like, and what was your all the ammunition that you needed when you took this step? If anybody is in that decision making process and they could borrow that ammunition from you.
I think the first thing is to really find the people who can get behind your decision. I think step a little away from people who will make you doubt your decision. I know that everybody comes from a space of care, concern. It can be your best friend, it can be your mom, it can be your dad. But if anyone's after a point, look, as a parent and as two people, as somebody in a relationship, we know when it's done. So no matter who says that, oh, you need to give it a shot, or for the child, like I was saying, in your heart that I have tried. And also before that, if you've tried enough, you in your heart already know, listen, dude, we've tried enough. This is it. Then I think the first thing that I did was I stepped away from even family members who made me doubt my decision and who made me feel like I was being an awful parent by doing this. And that was happening with me initially every time. They'd keep telling me like, oh, you have such a nice partner. Why? I said, of course he's nice. I didn't say he's bad. I've never said that he's bad. It's like I said, two people sometimes outgrow each other. And that's that. But I think first thing is to step away from people who make you doubt. I think anybody who asks you the question, now what? Will you get married again? Their heart's not in the right place. They are making you worry about the future as opposed to lending you the support that you need today. The third thing that I learned very late was be okay to ask for help. I get that as single parents, you want to overcompensate, and we do it. And I think initially I've overcompensated so much, whether it's in form of gifts, whether it's in form of saying yes more than I would have, whether it's in the form of just a lot of overcompensation, Mansi. And I think as single parents, we do it because we are feeling so bad that we are putting the child through this when it's no fault of the child.
Right.
Yeah, so I think also, I think the biggest ammunition is that I think every single parent needs to prioritize themselves, and that ammunition is inside.
Yeah.
I get it that when the things are really heated, when you're getting a divorce, when filing papers and the conversations are looming over your head, and there are these million challenges that you're constantly thinking about, oh, what's going to happen? How am I going to do it alone? And you've heard people say single parenting is challenging, but every single parent situation is different because every child is different. So you're not prepared for it. But I think in that moment, to have that kind of self belief, which is very, very difficult, um, you need to find that. You need to find that 1% of self belief that you have in you, which is why you took this decision to carry you forward.
Right.
So if you could get here, you're going to get ahead. It is not going to be easy. I think to choose a path, to choose your battles, right? One battle is either to stay in a marriage that's not serving you and will eventually not serve your child, but you've chosen a battle of a single parent, which is going to be crazy. I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy for all of you. But the rewards are just beautiful.
Today, in your 14 years of marriage, and your child was 3.
10 years of marriage.
10 years of marriage, and your child was 3. Did you ever regret, like, why did I have this child? I wish we would have decided this earlier.
Never. Not for a moment. I can't tell you what my child has done for me, Mansi. I am a different person. Sometimes I don't recognize myself. It's thanks to this child. This child he saved me. He's given me the strength that I don't think I could have derived from anyone in this world. Like a parent, you yourself know, they teach you patience like never before.
Yeah.
I'm using it like as a big strength for myself.
Right.
He's my savior, man. My son is my savior.
Right.
There is nothing in the world, I don't think there's ever a moment in my life that I think that, why did I have him?
Did you think of it back in the day when you and your husband were in the most heated moment, like?
Because in those moments you're feeling like you want to run away. Why am I here? And just so exhausted. This is not the life I imagined for myself. I just want to leave everything. I want to run away. And that's a thought I used to constantly have, because you're not mentally happy, right? You're not being able to give your child that. So you're irritable, you're angry, and you're thinking you want to run away. But one look at his face, and I'm like, no, you're here for a reason, and this is it. And trust me, he's gotten me through the worst days of my life. He's given me the confidence to do things I didn't think I had. The strength I derive from him being a part of my life, there is no one in this world that could have given it to me.
Right. What does Swati do when she is overwhelmed and she just cannot show up? What's the garb that you put forward? And
in front of people?
Yeah.
Or you're talking about behind closed doors? Both. I think in front of people, no, Mansi, I find that the most difficult thing to do. I'm going to talk about as recent as since last October. There is this switch that's gone off in me. I slightly feel I've been so overwhelmed with, say, work and parenting and personal life that I have somewhere disconnected and taken a step back from doing things that I actively did, as meeting friends. I'm finding it very difficult to be in a room full of people who are talking about their work and their families and their trips and their holidays. It's not because I want those. The thing is that I'm not mentally there to be able to hold that conversation. I'm so happy in my life. Let me say that. I'm very happy in my life, but I don't have the headspace.
You're shedding.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm done. My closest friends, I've not met them in a while because I've really taken a step back. Having said that, I'm not unhappy. I'm happy, but right now I really feel I'm focusing on my current situation and my health, mental health, where I know that I need to step back because I'm not being able to go out and have a conversation that is not aligned with me right now.
Yeah.
I'm not being able to talk materialistic.
Yeah.
I feel very detached from people like that in the moment.
Yeah.
It could change tomorrow.
Yeah.
So in front of people, what I've done is to show up, to sit, to smile, to try and be a part of that conversation. But I've realized that it's been exhausting. So I've taken a step back.
What if they go away tomorrow? Because you've taken a very long break.
I think what I'm trying to do, Mansi, is that I'm ensuring that I'm attuned with them, which means that I tell them that this is not a step away from you because I don't want to be friends with you. It's really a step away because I'm not being able to do it for now.
Yeah.
And the friends who get it are there.
Amazing.
And
That's
the
amazing.
friends who don't understand it, I don't know what else I can do except for be as honest as this.
And do they ever wonder, like, she's meeting all these celebrities and she's got such a fancy life, and dude, what's wrong with you? Why are you feeling this bullshit? Do you get a lot of that?
I don't get a lot of that, but a lot of friends don't understand it because they keep telling me that your mom's at home, you have a maid at home, so why can't you just get out?
Yeah.
Or your son's gone to sleep at 9. Why can't you just get out? But the point is, I'm also so tired by 9,
Yeah.
9:30 that I want to sleep.
Yeah.
Or I want to take that half an hour to read or to write or to just be,
Yeah.
I don't know how else to hold conversations because I'm so mentally exhausted, and I
Yeah.
know you get that.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't think they understand that bit because other people are doing it. But those other people have a partner who's at home with the child. For me, it's
Yeah.
like I'm leaving my child with no parent.
Yeah.
My mom's there, but it's a parent is a parent.
Yeah.
So I think that is something that my friends, maybe some of them, don't understand it, and that's okay. I don't hold it against them. So
And what's the
yeah,
garb which nobody sees? How do you do that?
dude, there's no garb. I just cry, man.
I know that's such a woman thing to say. I think we all do.
I just
I think it's
cry.
therapy.
Yeah,
And I
I
always say
really.
this, I think tears are therapy in motion and we don't even realize. They're like emotions in motion. And and to me, I feel like very few people get it, but I think as women, we just find the greatest healing in those emotions.
Yeah, so I grew up very, very quickly as a child as well because my parents were also not in the healthiest marriage. And so I grew up too quickly. So if I think about my childhood, I sometimes feel that I assumed the role of an adult too soon, too quickly. So, when you do that, there are people around you always giving you these lines. And I know a lot of women have heard it. And I'm sure you'll immediately say, yes, oh, you're so strong. How did you go through this? Oh, look at her. She's so strong. Even though this is happening, she's made her life, she's working, she's looking at a child. And then that word strong keeps ringing in your head, right? Strong, strong, strong. And then I realized that I glorified that word strong so much that the fear of letting someone see me as weak became a thing for me. But that was working against me,
Yeah.
right? So even now, I may not ask for help, but I acknowledge that I am weak in this moment. I'm not strong.
Yeah.
I have stopped glorifying strength. So when I'm feeling extremely overwhelmed and I'm like, I can't go ahead, I can't do this, I cry by myself. Because I find it very weird to cry in front of people. And I'm thinking like, they'll be like, Arey, yeah, so I don't know.
No, you find it difficult because you've always dealt with the label of being strong, and
Yeah.
strong and tears don't go together.
Yeah.
And that's why you feel, I
Yeah.
cannot. That's why it's very hard for a lot of people to cry in
Yeah,
public.
and I know a lot of women like that, right? Because we know it's not just single parenting.
Yeah.
Women have been dealing with so
Yes.
much more.
Yes.
That, like for example, men, man, they say, "Oh, you're the provider. You have to be strong," so they don't cry
Yeah.
easily, right?
Yeah.
It's the
Tell me,
same.
did your parents have a messy breakup or was it amicable like yours?
No, it wasn't the healthiest.
So did you make sure that yours was better because it left a deep-rooted impact on
Yes.
you somewhere?
Absolutely. I led a lot from my own experiences. That's why I said, right, the reason we decided to part ways was because we had a child. It became so much more imperative for me to take that call because I know what an unhappy home does to a child. And I knew that that's a burden I'm not passing on to my childhood. That's the one thing I'm never going to put my child through. So yes, because I was already aware of what it can do.
Have you
know.
healed from that?
Oh, it's a tough question to answer. I think on some days I feel yes, Some days I feel no. But some days I also look back, Mansi, and I think that I am the person I am today because of those experiences, those really, really tough days. And when you look back and I think of the moments and I keep thinking, just yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine and I was telling him, sometimes I really wonder how we made it. Like my mom, me, my sister, how did we make it? And I don't know, man. It's some sort of hope, some strength, something that you hold on to, that
Do
you
you
cross over.
parent from the trauma that you went through as a child?
I would like to think that uh, as today's parents, including everybody, not just single parents, uh, we are unparenting ourselves first, right? Like we are unlearning the way our parents parented us, right? Because we understand the difference today between that and that. So yes, there's a lot that I'm doing leading from my own experience, because you know, like there are days I am broken from inside, right? For whatever reason, unknown reasons. It could be anything, but I'm broken from inside. But I ensure that I show up for my child, not just physically, but also emotionally, because I'm an aware parent today, because we are reading so much. There's so much conversation about it. But my mother maybe couldn't do it because she just couldn't do it. But she did a million other things for us, because of which my sister and I have grown up to be the people we are,
Absolutely.
because of everything that my mother did. So I have learned the strength that I have is for my mom. I think, that part of I think the biggest thing that I learned from my parents separating, that I think I put in this separation, is that no matter what, have kindness in your heart. I think I saw my mom still being the kindest, softest person, a person who's always had a smile, no matter what was going on. So I think that sort of, be kind to the person, be kind to your situation, be kind, try and be kind to yourself, which is very difficult. I think that is the biggest lesson I took from my mom,
Yeah.
was that don't be bitter.
Did you also make sure that the relationship that your son has with his father is a product of the relationship that you missed having with your father?
You're absolutely right. The reason, when I told you earlier, that even when I think single parents start to date, for me, it's imperative that my son and his father's relation is very important, and I will work around it to the best of my ability, is because I know what it is to grow up not having a relationship with a father. Because I know what it does. I know what a lack of a male role model in your life can do to you. Uh, there is this, I think I grew up having lower self esteem than most of the people around me. I know a lot of women went through it. I know a million women who've told me they had lower self esteem growing up, or lower self worth growing up, because whatever reasons in their life. But I also had it. And my reason was probably because I was constantly looking for an approval from a male role model. So whether it was making decisions or staying in relationships that didn't serve me, but hey, this person loves me, and it was a male figure that loved me, right? So I think staying in relationships too long that didn't serve me in my younger days is something that came from lack of having a healthy relationship with a male figure in my life. That was one of the biggest thing, like low self-esteem, low self-worth, and just what it does to your sense of validation. I was probably growing up looking for it from outside, or being a people pleaser, because you're missing it. You're missing an important part of your life. So I knew one thing for sure: nothing is coming between my son and his father. I'm not going to let it happen.
Hats off to you, Swati, for being so mature and handling it so beautifully and
Yeah.
sensitively. Amazing.
Thank
It's,
you.
it's really, really amazing. Hats off to you for having that strength. And the reason I wanted to highlight this is because as a conscious parenting coach, I see so many times that people parent from their lack. I'm so happy that you filled that lack, because otherwise you would have never let that relationship between your son and his father
Yeah.
be fulfilled. And it'll always come from that lack
Yeah.
that you had, but you filled that so beautifully. And you've had fleeting moments of come and go. but you've not let the ego take over.
Yeah.
That, why should he do that? And the ego would come from your father not having done that. So I think it's so beautiful that you've overcome
Thank
that.
you.
Tell me, how's it at school? Are parents accommodating? They get it? Do fellow parents chip in that it's okay if you can't make it? Or has there been an occasion where a child has said to your child now or when he was younger that, oh, you don't have a dad who stays with you?
I think in the school, if you are to talk, I found that one parent who's my entire community. She's my
Amazing.
entire community since grade one. Okay. We've luckily been in a situation where our kids are in the same class, and I keep praying to school, God every day that please make sure they're in the same class. So she is really my like a full power community when it comes to school. If I miss something, I'll ask her, hey, listen, sorry, missed out on this. What is this? She's always there. Now, I remember the day my father passed away in the morning at 7, and I had to go. My son was alone. My ex-partner was traveling. Of course, my mom, my sister, and I had to go, and I messaged her. I said, hey, listen. And she was there the entire day with him. She took her daughter. So, Samida, thank you so much. So, if it comes to school, she's definitely that parent who helps me whenever I need it. I think the questions came more from my son than somebody having told him. Things like, why is it that for PTA only you come? You know, why is it that everyone else has like both the parents coming and why can't both my parents come? It's not like my ex-partner doesn't want to. If he's got work, he stays in town. So logistically, it sometimes gets a bit
Yeah.
much, right? So I think it does prick him. I wish both my parents showed up. But when it's the big events, when it's the big sports day, annual day, he's there. So we make sure that that dirt is never felt by him. There's something really strange. So somebody said to my son the other day, which broke my heart because I was thinking, my God, he's just like 9 and he has to hear something like this. Firstly, I don't know how these 8 and 9-year-old kids are talking and hearing about these things. I had a friend who came over, a male friend, came over, meets in the building, and we were all playing football downstairs. And I went up, and my son continued to play with my friend. And this kid in the building turned around and told him, is your mom cheating on your father?
Oh, God.
And he just told him, if you ever speak about my mom like this, you say, he got angry, right? You know how boys
Yeah.
are about mothers. He didn't tell me anything, okay? And this went on like he wasn't playing with that friend. I kept asking him, what's happening? Like why? I knew that kid is slightly, aggressive and hits and all, but they would continue to play. And then he told me after much later that this is what he said. So there are things that something like this that he heard that he wasn't comfortable with or made him really question. Then again, you go back to why it happened, what had happened. But it's never been a situation where somebody's told him, oh, your family setup is different, because I, for one, have told every class teacher of his in the beginning of the year, dude, he comes from a single parent setup. There are times that I might ask you guys to pitch in and help me with something, and they've been lovely about it. So please ensure that he's never made to feel like this in class. If there are conversations that you think are, going towards that side, please step in for him. Also, I think, I really want to talk about this, Mansi, is that what a single parent child can look like. I know it may feel like a burden to a lot of parents when they think, oh my God, the child is so young, how? But every PTH, Mansi, that I go for, the one thing which has been consistent since he was in grade 1 is that he is such a supportive kid to other kids. He shows up for his friends. He is independent. He respects authority. And these are not things that I have taught him consciously. This is something he's watched. So when people say, what happens to a child who comes from a broken home, I hate calling it broken home, but I think it's a fixed home. A lot of good things come out of it. Sure, there are challenges, but you'll deal with it as a child grows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to also say that, yeah.
No, I'm every word that you said, it just makes so much sense, because I'm sure they're learning in their little ways to cope with situations and things. And I think it's so beautiful the end result.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you said a broken fixed home,
Yeah.
because that's really what it is.
Yeah. It's not a broken home, man. I'm begging you. If you know anybody who's going through divorce, please don't call it a broken home. Don't make them feel worse than they already are by using words that will bring them down.
Yeah.
It's already very difficult.
Right. Let's talk about the resources that either the man or the woman need in their side when they're looking at separation. The lawyers, the community, the finances, the mental, emotional support or help that they may need. What all goes into that resource kit if you have to sort of.
The first thing is, of course, a conversation with your partner, goes without saying. After that, I think it's identifying a lawyer who can really make you understand, one, your rights. Because I do see that a lot of women, and I'm saying women because a lot of women have reached out to me about this. I'm not spoken to single parent who are men who've had to face this. So I'm talking about women primarily, who say that they don't know what their rights are. What can they ask for? I am working. Is he still liable to pay me an X amount? Yes, he's liable to pay you an X amount. I remember during my divorce at the court, the therapist, you had this therapy session and they asked me, hey, he has to give you a home. Don't you want it? I said, no, I don't want it. Are you sure? But I didn't know about it. And
Okay.
luckily I didn't need it because I was moving in back with my mom. And I think our divorce was amicable. So we were in a space that we were not fighting anything, right? But a mom, from what I understand, this is again 5 years ago, has the right to a home. I not like somebody should have told me because I was not taking it, but anybody who's in that situation, I think the most important thing is to know your rights as a person.
Yes.
What is it that you can get? I think the other very important thing is that the conversation with the child. That is the most important thing. I understand when your kid is 2 and 3 and he doesn't get it, you're not having that conversation. But if your child is at an age where he or she needs to be attuned with what's going on, it's a conversation that both parents need to have together. That is the biggest thing one needs to do. I know we get so caught up in the finances of it all, in the logistics of it all, but when it comes to mental health, I think please prioritize your child as well. While I know it's very difficult because you're already dealing with your own, as partners, but I think, so what one should or can do if they have the financial aid is to maybe reach out to a therapist and say, this is my situation. How do I talk to my child?
Right.
What's the best way that I can speak to him or her going to their level of understanding, because they don't know the word divorce.
Right.
Right. So how can you make it really easy for them to understand? I think the third is to ensure that you have, even if it's one person, even if it's 2 or 3 people, just that little community who you can pick up the phone and say, you know what, I don't want to talk about it. Can you just come home? I need to step out for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a big relief.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to get because everyone has a life of their own. I might need somebody to step up at 3 in the afternoon, for example, but nobody's available, right?
Yeah.
So I think that to ensure that you have that little community that you build that can also, because people are usually very quick to give you advice when you tell them you're going through something, right? Somebody who can just hold space for you by listening to you. I don't want advice. So people who have people in their lives who are going through a divorce or a separation, I think just showing up for them as listeners is great. Don't push them. So build a community that has faith in your decision. Build a community that can lend you that emotional support.
Right.
Sometimes I would tell friends, like I would like to tell people, I didn't do it myself. If you just showed up at your friend's space with nothing, just say, hey, listen, you're okay. Why don't you step out? I'll stay with your child. You have to do nothing. Or you want to sit in that room, you want to cry for some time, go. Don't ask people that, what are you going to do now? What's going to happen now? So I think resource-wise, like you said, a lawyer, most important, a community that supports your decision. Step away from anyone who's making you doubtful, even though they come from a great space. The third thing, Mansi, I think is once it's done, to start to detach from the past, to start to say my story isn't my past. My story is starting now and it's a new story. I want to rewire my brain. I don't want to live in the past and say, why me? And I get there is going to be a large amount of time and months, and you're going to do that because you need to process. I'm not saying don't process, but I think there comes a time that we need to step away from our past and say, that's not the story I'm writing for future. I think the other thing is stop. I want to tell this to people who are actually around people who are going through the divorce. Do not ask them if they're going to get married again. Do not ask them what now. Do not ask them, oh, do you know how difficult it is? Yes, we know how difficult it is. We may not know a lot of uncharted territories, but largely we are aware, right? To people, to friends who are so excited at some point after a while and they say,
They want to start
yes, matchmaking.
Okay.
Yeah, let me introduce you to this one. Let me introduce you to this one. It's great. But please just ask if the person is first ready than saying this, oh, you're in your prime, you're still young. Dude, but I'm not feeling it here, Can I touch a little bit upon dating life?
Yeah. In fact, I was going to ask you, does it become, after you're a single parent, does it become that you only date single parents?
No.
Yeah,
No.
it doesn't, right?
No, not at all.
Like people don't judge like, oh my God, she has a child, she will never marry me.
Yeah, I have lots to say about that. So initially when, of course, the divorce happened and some time had passed, a lot of my friends would introduce me to people. And I think the conversations would go beautifully till it's like, you're divorced, right? And I was very mindful that I'm not wasting my time. So in the first 2 minutes of the conversation, I do this. I'm a single mom. The one who stares, is worth your time. Most people sprint, Mansi.
Really?
They sprint because firstly, I want to tell you boys, I don't want my son or, we as parents do not want to make our child your responsibility.
Yeah.
That's my responsibility. That's my life, which is separate from which may or may not happen here.
Yeah.
Unless it reaches a stage there. But I think just people are so scared to date single parents because they feel that the child is going to all of a sudden become their responsibility.
Yeah.
I know it's not true that single parents land up dating just single parents. I know of people who are dating and hopefully to be married to people who've never been married before, and I know enough and more people, but I also know of people like I remember in gatherings that have couples, right? After the divorce, if I showed up alone, I would see women kind of, get a little not too happy about it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, listen, I have zero interest in your man, like keep him. But you see these slight shifts in people. You see it and it happens.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That would be,
It
that'll be just so naive to think that, oh, now she's like a man-eater and she's going
It's
to...
so horrible, right? But it's not just me. I know of other single parents who've also been through it.
So guys, single parents don't date single parents alone.
Yeah,
it's a myth to be busted, and please don't look at them as prying eyes waiting to capture or attack. That's really not the case. I think we're far more evolved than that, and I don't think that really happened.
Absolutely.
That's one last question that's brewing in me, and I'm just going to anyways take that. But what's that one insecurity or just fear or just a thought that steps in, that if something happens to me, then what happens to my child? Do you sleep with that fear?
I don't sleep with that fear, but I definitely have that fear because I think a lot of times, man, like, what if something was to happen to me? Will he be okay?
Kill you?
Sorry?
Did the plane crash, the Air India crash, kill you? Just get...
No, I can't.
You don't think
how to take more stress?
Okay.
But that's a fear I do have, and then I remind myself that the fact that he has a loving relationship with his father, the fact that he is so close to his Masi and his Nani, he has people.
Amazing.
He has enough people who love him and will take care of him. Yeah. But yes, it's a fear.
It is.
It is a fear.
Okay. Tell me, was it easier for you to know that separation is an option because you came from parents who separated before? So you knew that this is an option to a relationship? Is that how people judge often? That because you come from a broken home, like they say, it's the best option that you will choose.
Mansi,
Have you heard that before?
No. Mansi, somebody told me, when people are going to part ways, there are a lot of people who will try to,
Yeah.
coax you or, just try to figure it out. Can you work it out? And I absolutely respect and appreciate those people who stood up and said, hey, let us come in, let us see what we
Yeah.
can do, right? There's a line that I think that two people told me was, you're a product of a broken home. Look what it does. And I'm like, what did it do?
Yeah.
I think today, everything that I am, it's because my mom took that brave call of saying, I'm stepping away, right? And that's why I became this independent. That's why I decided that, dude, my mom's a strong person in front of me as an example who decided that this is not the life I want. This is the life I want to lead. And I could see that. I saw her struggle. I saw her challenges. So somewhere I knew, but I wasn't prepared for it all. So I don't think it came to me easier as an option because I came from a household of a single parent. I think it's just something I was very certain about because my primary goal was my son and his happiness.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure if that came as an option easier to me, but a lot of people do say, when we were going to get separated, a lot of people said, yeah, because Abhi, what will the world say? Your mom's separated, divorced, so even you're divorced. Now just imagine. I'm like, dude, it's not like it's hereditary.
Yeah.
It's situation.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not too sure if it came easier because of that.
Right. I have so much respect for both you and your partner for saying that even if we've outgrown each other, and I'm sure that happens in so many relationships, very few acknowledge, very few are ready to say it. But I think it just shows so much maturity that both of you said that, but our common love and our common goal is for this child who needs to be deeply loved and nourished. How does that maturity come about in couples? Do you see it in a lot of couples around you? Like, how did you guys arrive at that decision? How can a partner who is struggling convince their partner that, listen, we may have our differences, but here we need to stand up united?
I think if I just go back to the day we decided this was it, of course, it was extremely painful because we had been together for a good 14 years. And, he's somebody who's still a part of my life because we co-parent. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that. It's difficult. No matter what you say, it's difficult to kind of step away from something that's been such a large part of your life. But even that day, I remember sitting at that coffee shop and the only thing we said to each other, and we didn't have to discuss it. We both knew that this was not the best option. This is not what we thought it would turn out to be. But in that moment, we knew we didn't need convincing. We didn't need one to tell the other that our child is the center focus of this all. And we are going to ensure that he and I are in such a healthy space as individuals and as parents to him that we're not going to let it hamper him. It's not even a conversation we had. It was unsaid. We've never discussed it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And while you have this incredible, brave exterior, what broke Swati as a mom many times, whether it's at school, whether it's fellow parents, whether it's teachers, whether it's society, what broke the strong, athletic Swati?
Okay, quite a few things. I think the biggest question that breaks me every day or makes me doubt what I'm doing a lot of times is, am I doing enough? Am I putting in the work that I see a lot of other parents putting? Because I'm also working and I am single. I don't have a tag partner on a daily basis, right? So that is something that, because of that question, I used to build this self-doubt every day as a parent. And I realized that that was what was making me weaker each day, right? So just, am I enough was a question I was battling every single day. So that I had to really talk myself out of that feeling. What also breaks me is, I think, some of the questions that sometimes my son used to ask me when he was younger. Today he's going to be 10. He gets the situation. He's grasped it. Of course, he has his days, but he's understood what this setup is like and he's kind of getting attuned to it. But I remember it's sometimes this one morning I'll never forget. He woke up, I think he was all about 5, and he said to me, Mom, as much as I love waking up next to you, I really wish I could wake up to a home where you and Dad both were there. So like these are statements that break you as a mom. And you're thinking that, did I do right? But you did right.
Yeah.
You did right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Take your time.
See, they're not easy to think back, and because, thanks. They're not easy to really think back, and this is the one statement breaks me even today when I think about it. But then I'm reminded, I look at my son and I'm like, he's thriving. He may not be thriving at the level of the society, but I know he's thriving. I think he's learning a lot more. And yeah, so that breaks me sometimes. What breaks me sometimes is having to do it all. Just having to do it all. Sometimes I am editing an interview while I'm helping him with his homework, or sometimes I'm editing an interview and I'm like, hey, listen, I need 10 minutes. I need to go drop my son here. I need to go pick up my son from here. There is really no tag team. I have my mom who's at home, but at the end of the day, you feel responsible, right?
Yeah.
Like, she's a mom. She overlooks everything, and she's a huge support to me. But she also has her own life.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes just doing it all by yourself, and sometimes it's thought of, I'm sorry if it sounds awful. I don't know if all parents feel it, but sometimes you feel like, oh, should I just run away?
Yeah. No, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
Trust me. And I can totally empathize because sometimes having a partner and doing it all seems to be overwhelming. I
Yeah.
cannot even imagine how you do it alone. I mean, is your partner cooperative? Does he chip in?
So of course, we co-parent, but how do I say this in the nicest way? Because there's nothing bad about it, right? We co-parent, but I'm the primary caregiver,
Yeah.
right? He stays with me. So which means he's meeting his father on the weekends, right? Weekends are for fun usually,
Yeah.
right? So he automatically becomes the fun parent, and
Yeah.
I am automatically the disciplinarian. I try to bring in the fun in whatever way you can, but you as a mother yourself, you know what
Yeah.
days are like from homework to classes.
Yeah.
You're just like, eat your food, sleep on time. So I think while you're co-parenting, you're still the primary caregiver.
Yeah.
It's having said that, it's not that my ex-partner is saying he doesn't want to do more. He physically can't do more. He actively
Right.
cannot do more. He
Right.
stays like an hour and a half away from us, so he can't actively be involved
Right.
on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So the weight of being a primary caregiver primarily falls on me.
Yeah.
It's like if I have to travel for work, I have to make a few calls to understand how everyone else is placed before I can say yes to
Yeah.
something. It's not like I can drop and say, hey, listen, I'm traveling for work tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
And if he has a professional commitment, a personal commitment on the same week that I have, his becomes priority, because at the end of the day, the kid stays with me.
Yeah. Was that a conscious choice to ensure that you were a primary parent, or what factors made you determine that I will be the primary parent?
Again, it's really not a large conversation that we had. It was a conversation of 5 minutes when we were discussing everything. It was just like, I said, he's going to stay with me. He said, yeah. And I said, you have full access.
But was that a yes, an easy yes, because he
Yeah.
was all of 3, and that's the time that the mother is kind of more important?
Probably. I haven't really given it much thought whether that was really the reason why we said, okay, I'll be the primary parent. But again, we had an understanding that even though I'm the primary parent, he has all access. And I'm nobody to not give access.
Yeah.
He's the father.
Yeah.
And for me, it's very important that he's a large part of his life.
Right.
For me, I make sure that I do all I can to maintain that relationship.
Amazing.
For me, it's very important to maintain his relationship with his father as much as it is for him, for my
Right.
son and my ex-partner.
Right. Do you often talk to your, and I know so many parents have written to me with this, and I'm sure because you're part of a larger community, where you're trying to sour or make the memories of the other partner fairly bitter for the child. Do you experience a lot of that? How did you make sure that you keep it all
Clean.
clean?
Like you never talk ill about your partner.
Yeah.
I've never said a word against my partner, and my partner hasn't said a word against me either. Because, dude, putting a child in the spot is the worst thing a parent can do.
Don't do it.
Please don't
Don't
do it.
do it. You're traumatizing the child by doing that.
Absolutely. Please just don't do it. The child is already dealing with so much. When you make, even just questions like, I know parents who ask their child questions like, oh, who do you love more, mom and dad? Don't do it.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? Why are you making them pick? Um, it's like when he goes out with his father, he has more fun. I know that. But I'm never going to question that because their relation is different. Like I said, I'm also a disciplinarian. So while we have fun, but I also kind of essay another role, right? But I'm never going to talk down my ex-partner. If there are issues or something he has said that I didn't like, or if there's something I have said to him that he doesn't like, it's a conversation that is had separately, and the child, my son, will never know about it. I know a lot of parents who do it, especially in relationships that have ended badly.
Yeah.
In relationships where one parent does not want the child to be close to the other parent.
Yeah.
But in that process, you are hampering the child's mental health. The child is going to grow up to really imagine putting a child in the center and saying, choose your mom or dad.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing you can do.
Right. Do you mentioned something very interesting, like I know he has more fun with the father. Does that make you insecure?
No.
Why and how?
I am so secure in my relationship with my son. It's the conversations we have. I'll ask him the weirdest questions in the night before
sleeping. How does the conversation change from a 3-year-old to a 10-year-old, and how have you built that?
Yeah, it's okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about when he was young. We separated when he was 3. He was 3. Like I moved out of that house, but divorce was not on the cards even then. It happened a little later. So he was about 5.5, 6, and the conversations then were really light. It was more like, why can't I wake up in the house and see both of you? Why did you leave dad's home? But you're the one who left him, right? He doesn't understand that. But he's saying, but you left that home. We used to live there, but you left. So that time it used to make me think, oh my God, he's probably thinking that I am the bad person who made this situation happen, right? But he's 6. So how do you talk to your child who thinks that you are at fault? He doesn't know better. So for me, I had to really go down to a level like I would tell him, let's say, Rian, that you have a friend who you stop getting along with and it makes you very unhappy, right? So you step away and you tell that friend, hey, listen, I'm not very happy being friends with you, right? How about we get a little distance and we be cordial to each other? So we're happy. You're happy, that friend's happy. And in that case, Rian, that's what mom and dad did. And that has trickled down to you. Are you a happy child? He says, yeah, I'm very happy. I said, that's it, right? So these were the conversations that we largely under the umbrella of conversations was me moving out of that house. Why did I do it? And you have to explain it to them. I know parents who run away from these conversations. But the more you don't tell them, the more they want to know. The more they want to know and they don't know, that mind spirals. And because they don't understand it, you can't expect them to understand it. Sometimes I don't understand it, right? So I really want to tell all the single parents that are going through this that it's important that you address every question to the best of your ability.
Yeah.
Or tell your child, hey, give me a minute. Let me find out what this is and how I can address your concern, and I'm going to come back to you.
Right.
That assurance. Today, the conversations are about just his and my relationship. Primarily about how I keep telling him, Rian, you're my teammate. You are the best teammate I could have asked for in my life because I couldn't have been a single parent without you, right? If you didn't support me, Rian, the way you do, like when I tell you, I have work, Rayo, give me half an hour, you do it, right? That's you being my support system. So really, conversations today are about that. He and I are so emotionally connected. We are so strong as a unit that I don't think I'll ever be insecure about my relationship with him. I'll question it when he becomes a teenager and wants his friends more, which I'm sure
you will. Trust me on that one. But tell me, does it make you want to overcompensate to be more fun? Like I'm so envious of my husband. Like, how can he joke and have fun all the time while, like, sometime butting in to be a disciplinarian? But
Yeah.
he's really, I really want to be fun.
Yeah, I know. It's so sad, right? We have to be the disciplinarian
Yeah,
most of the time.
yeah.
And like I said, that's same for a unit or a single parent, right? What I try and do, Mansi, primarily is I try to do the things that he loves the most.
Yeah.
So it's football. I'm very bad at it, right? But he'll say, I can't play with you, Mama, please, you don't know how to play. I'm like, but I'm trying, points for trying, Rayan. So we'll do, okay, Mama, we'll do 1v1. So I'll play football with him.
Yeah.
So that's his fun. I remember the other day it was pouring and he wanted to play football. And I'm like, no, you're going to fall sick. And I'm thinking, I think his father would have done it. I'm going to go do it. So I'm also maybe learning sometimes, you learn.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I went and played football with him in the rain with his friends for an hour. And he said, that was the best time I had with you. So how I'm not overcompensating, but I try to do
Make
20
the
minutes.
nose more yeses.
The nose more yeses.
The more reasonable nose into
Yes,
yeses.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'm choosing my battles now wisely.
Right.
Yeah, like giving a little leeway on things that I was more stringent about.
Yeah.
For example, bedtime was a strict 7:45
Yeah.
till about 2 months ago. Okay, and he's fighting me on it every day. He's like, Mama, please, 8:30, children my age are sleeping. And I'm very particular about bedtime since the day he's been born, okay? So now I'm like, okay, maybe because he's nearing 10, I need to step away and give him a little bit of him. Though I've always been, child-led parenting is what I've always believed in, but I've also realized that I need to come in a little more.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to draw that balance now. It's not very easy to do it alone because it's really not easy.
Right. Tell me when I know of couples who have separated and the financial bit never gets
Yeah.
resolved, right? What should one ask for? And how does that get resolved? Sometimes amicably, sometimes not.
Okay. So I do know a lot of people who have had a lot of difficulties getting financial aid
Yeah.
because sometimes the father wants nothing to do with the child and the mother, right? They just want to walk away. Those have been really, really tricky. I know a lot of mothers who've been through that. And just fighting that battle is another toll, that it takes another toll on the parent. But what you really need to do at this point is, I think, really get a really, really strong lawyer who can fight your battle for you. Having said that, it really depends if your partner can really do it.
Yeah.
If you're fighting a battle where your partner can't afford to give you what you're asking for, then I think it's better to step away and choose your peace of mind.
Right.
For me personally, we understood both our financial situations. We knew what we needed. So we came at a decision that kind of works for both.
Right.
Without me being that person saying, no, you have to give me everything. I understand, So let's do this amicably where you're comfortable and I'm comfortable. It's not easy. I know couples are going through, especially mothers who are single parents, fathers who have told them, I will pay you this amount of money every month, and then have disappeared on them, or said, I'm not making enough money. There are loopholes. We all know the loopholes in
Yeah.
how to say we're not making money while the person is making money, but what do you do?
Yeah.
So I think there are a lot of parents who now they take a lump sum right in the beginning. If you have that option, just take it. But that lump sum has to be really huge. That can really pull you through, I don't know, depending on how old your child is when you're getting a divorce, till when do you want to take it?
Yeah.
So for us, it was very clear, the education, the alimony, the child support was taken care of.
Right.
I was very clear that I'm working, so I don't need money for me. And he was very
Does
understanding.
that put pressure on you that I will have to do this forever? Like you're always on the treadmill. You can never. And I'm just asking you this as a fellow woman
Yeah.
who feels sometimes on some days I just want to take a pause, but I am on the treadmill and I cannot stop. Does that put too much pressure on you?
Every day, at the end of the day, I'm thinking, man, I am so overwhelmed. I am so worked up that I want to pause, but I'm not getting the time. The other day I was telling a friend The last time I went on a holiday was last year, May. We're sitting in August. I haven't taken a day off. I don't know what a day off looks like. Even on a weekend, if I'm not working, my child is still there. Right? For that is forever, like you said, it's forever going. That you can't pause a child. You can pause your work. But even while you do that, and on a weekend, you're thinking, oh, I want to do enough with my child because I need to be there for my child. Actively be there for my child because it's his day off. How can I do it? So yes, I feel it every day, Mansi, that I need a break. Sometimes I look at other parents and I'm thinking like I see moms going out with their friends and, I see them going out, girls trips. I see them going out on weekends just at night to, have a drink or just get coffee, get dinner. For me, that's also I need to check what my mom's plan is first, right? Who is at home? Can I go out? And my child and I, we still co-parent and co-sleep. And why do we co-sleep? Because I think that's the part that I'm still holding on to because he's growing up too fast. And it's also a little bit of when you're moving it, like you moved in with my mom, right? So it's also space and, I mean, those are things that you learn to deal with. So he still sort of likes to sleep. Like when he's sleeping, he wants me because I told you, we have the best conversations at night. We do these really positive affirmations every night before sleeping. So I feel so bad to leave him. That's on me, but that's on me.
I totally understand because for me, bedtime is sacred.
For me too.
So the time they wake up and they sleep is the best inward and outward movement that's happening.
Yes.
And that subconscious mind is telling you so many things that they may not say through the day, but they're saying it at some point in time, and they need to say it because they need to rest well.
Because that's the only time they have calmed down. There are no distractions. So for me, like you said, it's sacred. So even on a holiday, when he sleeps a little later than bedtime, I'm thinking like, oh, should I leave him? But I won't be there. Then maybe he'll sleep later. Then tomorrow he'll get up. But that's me. Like my mind is
overthinking all the time.
And you're planning by the minute. Every day, like sometimes if I tell my friends, oh, okay, so I'm going to leave at 5:05. What is 5:05? Why can't it be 5:05? I said, no, it is 5:05.
Oh, because I thought I was the only woman who plans by the minute.
I'm constantly planning by the minute, right?
I know what that feels like.
Yeah, so I feel like my mind is always in an overdrive. Always in an overdrive. From my morning walk to a tennis class, to a workout, to my work, to this meeting, to that meeting, everything is planned by the minute.
What happens when it doesn't go according to plans?
Oh, I'm irritable, but I'm learning to be kinder to myself. I really am learning to be kinder to myself. Which I think as parents, just single or not, we tend to kind of forget.
Yeah, we kind of forget. And I think also as women who are doing everything on the dot, we just cannot sometimes understand why people can't do it on the dot. And then what happens when our kids can't do it on the dot is a separate story altogether.
Yeah. I think really, Mansi, as a parent, I'm sure you'll also understand this. I really feel like we sometimes put so much additional pressure on ourselves. I think it's okay to ask for help. But we don't usually ask for help. I'm just going to do it. Somebody can do it. But again, as a single parent, I feel when I'm tied up with work or when I am doing something else, if this is the time I want to do it for him. Something as simple as dropping him and picking him up from football class. I want to do it. But that's on me. Yeah.
But tell me, how do you manage some of the important life decisions that you're taking for your child? And with a child, it keeps coming, right? From the preschool that you pick, to the school that you pick, to the subject selection, to the sport selection, to higher education selection, to, okay, he's got really sick. Should we ask a second opinion with a doctor? Should we admit him? Should we not admit him? There's just so many decisions. And I think the worst I've ever felt is that inability to decide and then waiting. When I decide to kar liya, I hope it works for my child. Your second guessing is your second nature, right? Because you always want to do it right.
Because there's no rule book.
Yeah. So how does that work? And to me, that can be sometimes overwhelming and draining.
Sure.
Because sometimes I'm just not being able to make that decision. So just having that partner tap in and say, you're doing fine, the decision will pan out.
Yeah.
How does that simple support or the decision making work?
When it comes to education, if I think we were on the same page. So again, there was no real discussion about what we wanted to do, and he's just in the 4th grade right now, right? So till then it's still simple. It's post the 5th, 4th grade that you need to kind of decide the board and the subjects. I think we're still to get there, so I'll tell you when we get there how we're going to do that. But for now, the way we think about education is very simple, dude. Like I genuinely feel like, okay, I went to a boarding school in Missouri, okay? Back then it was like the thing, right? And it was expensive, and I did Cambridge. I'm here. My ex-partner went to a school in Malabar Hill. He's here. He's doing just as fabulously, and I'm doing as well as I can. I've realized, man, kids have a potential, and you can place them anywhere. They're going to fly the way they have to, the way they need to. They know their potential. Of course, we have to, as parents, push them, guide them, and recognize that. But I really do feel like more than education, it's the moral compass for me, for a child, that I put in my energy in. So for me, education comes at the level of, yes, education is important. Yes, you're going to do it. You're going to ace it as much as you can to the best of your ability, which means putting in all that you got. And as far as you're doing that, I'm okay. When it comes to things like when he falls sick, dude, like my son tells me, Mama, you can't get so worried every time I sneeze. You know that Shah Rukh Khan scene from that movie, right? I am that person. Okay, I'm really that person. I am, oh my God, I can't take it. I'll cry. He can fall sick and I'm just worried and everything around me will fall apart.
Yeah.
Because again, you're the only one doing it. And when he's unwell, my mom, as much as he loves her, he still wants the mother.
Yeah.
That is the most difficult part is when they're unwell, right?
Yeah.
Then you're working because you can't keep telling your office that, hey, listen, I need sick leave because my son is unwell. You need to figure it out. In those moments, I now have come to a point where I understand what needs a doctor intervention, what may not. But like say the nights he's running 103 fever, 102 fever, and I'm doing patti all by myself till morning 3 and 4. I'm exhausted and I have work at 7, 8 in the morning. So those are the times I'll just message my ex-partner. I just, the fever's 102. I think I've given him this. What do you think? Yeah, don't worry. I'm like, okay.
That's so sweet.
I just feel like I've said it to somebody who has a similar investment in the child's well-being.
That's amazing. That is really, really amazing.
And that's it. Again, not a discussion. It's just like, okay, you're okay.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kidsstoppress now.